real quick, not gonna be an actual intro. This is part 2. Let's just go ahead and break into it and start with my Spenza. Nothing after the music, except just me breaking into it. So stand by, here comes some music, and then me looking at knives. I took like a 30-minute break because we're halfway done and it was that long. So the next knife in the case, this is my Chris Reeves Spenza 21. This is an old school one that is not got the new lockup. This is the old 21, not the 31, still an S35B, and I've had this for a few years now. Actually did the unboxing here on the channel. Lanyard came from a guy that worked with me. He had me do some sharpening for him. He's like, hey man, like I had a bunch of bills to pay. He's like, there any way I could like give you this bead to pay off the sharpening? Cause it's an actual Chris Reeves bead. And I said, yeah, sure. But you got to make it into a lanyard for me. So he did that for me and it's been on there ever since. This is, I mean, did I need it? No, absolutely not. I didn't need a lanyard on it, but this has been a knife that I carry a lot. This is one of my favorite knife designs of all time. I actually had one of these before and sold it immediately, regretted it, bought another one. This is one of those knives I just would never get rid of because I just know that the second I got rid of it, I would just wind up buying another one. So there you go. Spenza 21. This just classic design. Just everything about it is just about perfect. So the next knife in the case is my WIK 601. This was the first WIK knife I ever got. I actually bought this with points on Knife Center. This was the first WIK knife I ever got. It really pointed out to me that they do a very good job. So Rhea and WIK, they do excellent jobs. Unique, very unique blade grind on this. It does not have a distal taper. It's the same thickness right here before that actual cut in goes as it is back here. No distal taper. They just accounted for it by grinding it off at the same angle all the way through. It gives it an incredibly aggressive forward cutting edge. The whole thing cuts aggressively, nicely, well ground down into a nice edge, and I put a full convex on this. I actually need to resharpen this one because it has been used enough. It's got a nice little flat spot right there on the edge. You can see it. So yeah, this was the first WIK Knife Company knife I ever bought. Still love this knife. It's a discontinued model, so it's one that's never going to go anywhere. So don't look for that to change. I love the logo. This is a very science fiction-esque knife. All the lines on it look like something you would see in a movie. I'd like to see a fixed blade version of this, to tell you the truth. So there you go, the WIK Knives 601. It's another Ferrum Forge design, but it's not in with the rest of them because this is actually a WIK Knife Company. This was designed for WIK Knife Company by Elliot. Yes, this is the phallic penis knife. But this knife, guys, this knife, super comfortable, little bit narrow here, nice and thin, not quite as broad here as some of the other knives, but still really comfortable. As far as a work knife, this thing is a beast of a knife. Nice belly on that recurve, big, large area up there. Super thin grind on this. Cuts really well. The action on these were amazing. Mine actually is listen to that, bang. Mine actually is not a full production version. Mine is a prototype. This was one of the last prototypes to come off line. Elliot told me, he's like, just keep that. He's like, I've got enough of the protos. But I mean, this is basically the same as the rest of the ones that came off the production line. I did not do anything to this knife. This is how it came. It came with the bronze two-tone bronze backspace. Actually, I did. I orange peeled the pocket clip and a backspace. That's the only thing I did to it. And I polished the hardware right here, the pivot. But yeah, this was my best knife of 2020. This was the winner. This was the best knife I'd seen in 2020. It's still in my case. It's not real heavy. And like I said, if you're looking for a good work knife, the Wii Minax is a really good choice. So there you go, Wii Minax. So, all right, Zach stuff. Zach, there is a 940 in my case. I know how you feel about it. This one is my Franken 40. There's several things. So this, I took this apart and I refinished everything. I gave it a, what do you want to call it? A kind of a distressed look. Took the blade out, the S35 VN blade, or I'm sorry, the S30V blade that was in it, replaced it with an S90V blade, put it all back together. It has aftermarket thumb studs. I don't know where the blade is for this knife, the other blade for this. I would say I need to take this pick and pluck out and see if it's underneath here. But yeah, this is the only Benchmade I own. This is a lot of fun. I love the Benchmade 940. It was a grail knife for me for a long time. I love this Osborne design. I like the Osborne designs. Even though I'm not such a big fan of Benchmade these days, this is still a very good design, very good knife. You get a full EDC in a very small package, and it's just a lot of fun. And I do carry this a good bit. I carry it a lot. I've actually done it a few times where I'll carry it left hand carry, flip the pocket clip. You know, the axis lock is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun to mess with. But you know, not such a big fan of Benchmade these days, but I do love this knife. And I do love this knife. And it was a gift from one of you guys that I met up at Blade Show West, one of the channel subscribers. So there you go, Benchmade 940. Another gift that came in, this one and this one, actually, I forgot to mention, were gifts from Alex Io, one of the paying members. This is the fifth Wayfarer sheep's cliff that was ever done. I have done a couple things to this knife. All I did was I basically just did a refinish. I polished the backspacer, tumbled this in some really fine ceramic medium, anodized all the hardware green, including the backspacer. I know that green's not coming through real well. Well, it may be. I'm wearing blue blocker. Yeah, it's coming through better than I thought it was. And then I tumbled the blade to get rid of the black acid wash that was on it. I like the finish on this blade a lot better now. M390 blade, good construction. I love this pocket clip. As weird as it may sound to say, looking at it, you would think it's a big hot spot and it's gonna be uncomfortable. This is probably one of the best pocket clips I have. This in and out of pocket is a dream. No hot spots on this knife. Olaf Cutlery's knives are some of the most ergonomic knives. You're gonna hear me say that again about a knife that's gonna be out of character. I have a Spyderco in my case that is probably one of the most comfortable ergonomic handles ever made. But this, just a great knife, really thoughtful gift from Alex. I love this knife. I waver from time to time. I don't carry it as often as I should, mainly because I don't want to screw up the finish. I like the finish. It's not a safe queen. It does get used. It does get carried, but just not as often as some of the other knives. So there you go. My Olaf Wayfarer Spanto. Now, this is a knife that was designed by someone I truly enjoy being around, Mr. Bob Tresola. You got to see him in my videos at Blade Show West. We hung out with Bob the first day, didn't film much, hung out with him. I think I hung out with him on film. No, I didn't film at Friday Night Blade Affair, but this is the CTF, Compact Tactical Folder by Bob Tresola, executed by WE Knife Company and released by Mass Drop. This one is now I did ceramic coat the blade, and this is a nice thing about that ceramic coating I use. It's so thin that you don't lose your markings. So this is serial number K390 by Mass Drop. It is done in S35 VN steel, and there is Bob's Aztec or South American dragon logo. G10, super comfortable thumb disc, slow roll, flipper. This is one of the few knives that I have that actually will thumb flip as easily as it slow rolls. I don't know what magic Bob created with this. Flipper tab on this completely disappears, all but completely disappears. In hand, super comfortable, great tactical design. Looks so similar to his AT FATC, I can't remember what it was, that he did. And this is kind of a hybrid clip. I love the clip on this. Hybrid clip on this. It is a milled style pocket clip, but feels like a bent clip. So there you go. The Bob Tresola CTF. Great knife. These things are so smooth. Really nice knife. So we're back into some Ferrum Forge knife. Ferrum Forge owns this corner here and that entire top row. These are just their designs. So this is the Gent, also a mass drop release. Nico did the hydrographics on this to make it appear as though it is snakeskin. He did that with hydrographics. Great job on that, Nico. This is still a winner in my book. This is a great little knife. Only issue I've ever had with it is pocket clip, like the one on the Luna Boost, will catch the seam at the bottom of a t-shirt and make it start to unravel. Ultra light knife. This is such a light knife, but you still get a fairly good sized blade. Oops, sorry. You still get a really good sized blade. It's done in S35 VN. And it's done by WIK Knife Company, so the heat treat on it is really good S35 VN coming out of them. Nice thin blade stock, cuts really well. You put this, you don't have too many problems when carrying this knife. It is really a very easy to carry light gentleman's folder, hence the name Gent. I just decided to fancy mine up. So there you go, Ferrum Forge design Gent. This knife is one that I had to go get off my, this knife I had to go get off my bedstand this morning because I carry this knife a lot too. This is my Ferrum Forge Designs Stinger. Now, the stingers that rolled off the line were done in a different steel than this. This is in 9CR. I have a prototype, and I carried this knife and I beat the crap out of it. And so I refinished the blade, and I liked the black and red, so I did a two-tone black and red stinger. Elliot gave this to me for the channel. There was one that was given away and one that it was mine. This was the one. This one had a lot of, I had put it through its paces. I did a lot of work with it to see how it cuts. I'm a big fan of the original stinger that was done in SM100. These were done as a production version of it. They have a choil that the original one did not. But like I said, I refinished it for me because I had done a lot to it, and I couldn't do it as a giveaway, but I did one as a giveaway, one of the other ones. But Elliot gave me one of the prototypes to have and keep, and when I brought it back to him, he goes, wow, you really tore that one up. He's like, go ahead and keep it. So these probably, I think Elliot said it is his favorite design. I don't think it's my favorite Ferrum Forge design. I definitely can appreciate it though. This is a almost perfect blade shape, and it comes down, transitions so thin. One of the best cutters I own is this knife right here. So there you go. Ferrum Forge Design Stinger, done by WIK Knife Company. It is not a mass drop design. This is the first one that they did that was their own release, I believe, except, I'm sorry, no, the Lackey. The Lackey was the first one. This was the second one. So there you go. All the stuff above this line is all things that stay in my case permanently. A lot of the stuff that's down here is stuff, this is usually reserved for transient stuff. I have put stuff in here that is stuff that I keep, but a lot of times there's several spaces open so that when I have knives in, like especially when someone sends me a really expensive knife, it winds up in one of these spots down here. So we're gonna go ahead and start over here, and this is that Spyderco that I was telling you about. So I bought this for my wife. She didn't carry it. This is the Spyderco Matriarch 2. Very aggressive looking knife. This is where you start getting into some of those knives. I have two of them that I would say kind of, well, actually three. Three of knives that I would say qualify where you start going from knife as a tool to knife as the word we don't want to use for it, because then that puts it in the same category as pew-pews. But this is not like an EDC everyday use knife. This is for self-defense. This knife was designed based on a knife that Sal had built called the Civilian. It was a knife that was designed for undercover operatives, so that they had a knife that they could use to defend themselves, did not require a lot of training. The government of South Africa asked if they could have a more, what do you want to call it? A more cost-efficient version, a more cost-effective version, like a cheaper version that was something that, due to the number of rapes and things like that were going on in South Africa, this was something that was meant for women to be able to carry. But back to the big premise, that handle, the Endura handle is probably one of the most comfortable knives I've ever handled. Ergonomically, great. I have actually another knife that I'm going to grab right now because if we're going to talk about that, I may as well grab the one that goes with it. So this is an actual Endura. This was a gift to me. This is the one that I was really upset with, that it just doesn't hold an edge, but it's still a viable knife. You can use it for things like that. This is my actual Endura in ZDP 189. I'm 99% sure there was an issue with the heat treat on this. So, like I said, these are in my collection because I do enjoy the Endura series, just not, I kept this one so I just wouldn't get another one, because anytime I've gotten, it's a lot like the Spenza, anytime I've gotten rid of an Endura, I wind up getting another one. So there you go. Thought I would get this one out of the way. We just knock them out with one thing. That way I don't have to go back and get it. But there's my Spyderco Endura. And like I said, this one is the Matriarch 2. So right next to that is a knife that was sent to me by David, who is a rep for QSP. This is the QSP Penguin. There was 2 of these that were sent to me and I was allowed to keep them. Hang on a second. This was sent to me by David over at Blade Banner, who was a rep for QSP. I was able to keep, I had 2 of these. I did one as a giveaway. I kept this one for myself. I black ceramic the blade because it is in D2. I knew it would rust. This is a super good budget work knife. This is a great little budget folder. These are, I think, like $30. This is denim micarta. Nice warrant lift blade. Action on it's great. The D2 is done really well. It holds an edge very well. I used this knife to cut down cardboard and things like that when I first got it, and it's a dream. I don't carry it as much as I used to, just because, like I said, I have so much stuff that's in, but this is all stuff. This was a gift to the channel from David, and I really like the QSP knives. Done really well. Probably one of the best budget knives you're going to get is this one in D2. Like $30, you've got a very, very good usable work knife. This is a worker. This is a very good knife. I love this thing a lot. So QSP Penguin. This is kind of a rarer version of the EWC. So this is the EWC by Monterey Bay. It's a Ray Laconico design. This is one of those non-locking double detent knives that it's really fun. They're really useful. I like them a lot, some of these, because they are something that is simple, one-handed, non-locking. You can use it for quick, easy tasks. Super light. This is possibly one of the lightest knives I own. But the reason this one is rare is because this is done in tan. I don't know how clear it's coming through. This is done in tan micarta versus green. There are only a handful of these out there. Nico and I each have one. But these were the micarta ones. Like I said, designed by Ray Laconico. Sanford up at Monterey Bay Knives was kind enough to get these to me and then did not make me pay him for it for the better part of a year. So I was like, bro, I have to pay you. He's like, don't worry about it. I'll sweat it. Blade shape on this is great. Nice thin blade stock, M390. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't like those. They're too dangerous. And I'm like, as long as you're cutting the way you're supposed to be cutting, this knife is great. As long as you're not trying to like really bear down on something where you might get up on it, you're not going to have a problem. So and this pocket clip, I love this pocket clip. It's not only is it done really well, it's an attractive pocket clip, but the flip side of it is it's not a hotspot. It's very good in hand. So there you go. The Monterey Bay Knives, Ray Laconico design, EWC in tan micarta. This is my Kizer Grazioso, designed by Sharif Manganis. This was a gift by you-know-who, bang, Neebs Knives. And I'm going to drop a picture of that goofball right here. So Jared sent this to me for review. He had 2 of them come in. He had one that was brass and micarta, and then he got this one that is copper and G10. This is, it's one of those knives that kind of hits some interesting wickets. So first and foremost, incredibly comfortable, very, very functional. a lot of people don't like the recurve. I like a good recurve. I have a couple knives that recurve. This is another one. This hits a lot of wickets on things that I want when it comes to attractiveness, but when it comes down to it, this knife is so functional. So this is one of those things that you see so many things that are all the same. They're just so run of the mill, and there's so many knives that are out there that are just so similar to each other that when you get one in hand that has more of a distinct, unique look to it, but is still super functional, it kind of makes you happy. So you're getting to see something new that's attractive, and you're like, wow, I really like that, but you're still able to use it. This gets a lot of carry time, a lot of pocket time, because it cuts so well. It's super thin, really good edge geometry, blade geometry, not a real wide blade, but still transitions down to a fairly thin edge and behind the edge thickness. It's done in N690. N690 is a steel I like. I have a couple of the Ferrum forges are in N690. I don't have a problem with that steel. I actually am kind of a fan of that steel. If it's done well, it's a good steel. But there you go. Nice, attractive knife. Good gift. It basically wound up being a birthday gift from a fellow YouTuber that I really enjoy spending time with virtually and talking to. So Jared and I talk pretty often. So there you go. Thank you very much, Jared. You don't know how much I appreciate this gift. It spends a lot of time in my pocket. Next knife is possibly one of this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there. This is possibly one of the best all-around knives, period. And then when you really get to thinking about it, I haven't showed it to you yet because I think you guys know what it is. This is the CJRB Rhea. So not only is it probably one of the best budget knives out there, it's one of the best designed gentleman's folders. It is a very nice, incredibly sleek, small gentleman's folder that has insane action on it. Like, there's no spring in that. You cannot make this not fly open, no matter how hard you try. This gets so much pocket time. You can see the difference in color of the scales from hand oils. Probably one of the best thought out and designed budget knives like this out there. I put this knife hits so high above so far up above its weight class, it's not funny. The fact is, it just hits so many little wickets on making a knife almost perfect. There's very few things about this knife I don't like. The only thing I can say is the ones that I have seen that have the original standard pocket clip on it, I don't like those as much. And it's just, but you have an option. You can get the pocket clip from them. I did take out the lanyard piece that goes in here, so you can put a lanyard. But you want to talk about a knife that is just, for all intensive purposes, one of the best designed, best thought out, best executed budget knives out there. You're looking at it. And I would put this knife up against a lot of knives that are way above it in price point. I'd put this up against some $200 and $300 knives. If you really want my opinion, when it comes down to raw horsepower and just getting work done and things like that, this is a knife that I would recommend to almost everyone every day and twice on Sunday. So there you go, CJRB Rhea. Here is another CJRB, and this is done by one of my favorite designers these days. This is the Dylan Mallory designed CJRB Centros. When I saw this, I was like, man, that looks like it's going to be too thin. I've got big hands. I've got this knife in hand, and I'm like, oh my goodness. The other knife that I really like that's very similar to this is the Archeo, which is more of, it's basically shaped like a lot of pocket clips. This knife is very reminiscent of that, but geez, guys, the action on this, the comfort level, and whether he intended to do it or not, if he didn't intend to do it, then he did it by accident. One of the kind of a sleeper pocket tactical. I mean, you've got a blade shape that's really good for a lot of day-to-day tasks, but if you needed a tactical knife to do some of those high-speed, low-drag things that most people aren't going to do, this would be a knife that I would say could stand up to those tasks. Nice and light, such good action on this. No issues with it. It's in D2 steel, so I did do a ceramic coat on this. But guys, I'm here to tell you the edge on this, nice and thin, comes down to a super acute point. Great distal taper in hand, way up there on the comfort level. That pocket clip doesn't even bother me. The way that these handles were executed, even though I was so mad about that Kizer land pocket clip, this pocket clip is not like that. And it's not the pocket clip that's different. It's the shape of the handle and where that pocket clip is. So guys, take a hint, take a page from this little dude's playbook and figure out what you're doing wrong with your pocket clips. I'm telling you, because these two knives both have the deeper style pocket clips, the deeper carry style pocket clips that typically I just go on a tirade about. No issue with either one of these. So there you go. The CJRB Dylan Mallory Design Centros, great. Guys, this one is typically not in the case. I just kind of tossed it in the case for right now. This is the WIK Knife Company Incisor. This is the best karambit I've ever seen. A lot of people are like, oh, you just don't know how to appreciate a good Emerson karambit. I'm like, no, you just don't know what a good karambit is. Ernie, I'm sorry if you watch these videos. I always bag on your knives. It's not that they're not good designs. I just don't personally like the execution. This one, super good knife, in and out of pocket. Here, I'll let you hear it. In and out of pocket, it flies open. It just comes open with that that tab on there that you can wave off the pocket. It's removable, it's reversible. It is an attractive knife. It's comfortable in hand. That's my thing. A lot of times I get a karambit and they're not comfortable. The hole's not big enough. I can't get my hand in it. Just holding the knife in hand is uncomfortable. This is not. I like it enough that I refinished it and gave it a bronze and blue. But all the lines on it, super futuristic. And it kind of looks predatory. It looks like a creature that's going to chase you down and peck out your eyes. But no, I do carry this knife a good bit. I love the recurve on it, was executed incredibly well. Not the largest blade, but with it being that deep recurve on that hawkbill karambit blade, it's exactly what you need. This is not like a day-to-day EDC knife. This is another knife that kind of falls into the category with this. I'm going to do a video about that where I have like 3 knives that would basically almost bridge that gap between knife and weapon. I don't like to say that very often, but they really do. There are some that kind of do that. So there you go. The WIK Knife Company Incisor, probably the best karambit out there on the market. Final knife that is in the case. Now, there's a lot of other knives we're still going to look at. So guys, we aren't even halfway done. The case is just the tip of the iceberg. So this was a knife that came into me from Russell up at Artisan Cutlery. And he said, hey, have you ever gotten to see the Mastiff? And I was like, no. He said, well, I've got one, but, you know, there's not many out there. And he sent this to me, and I told him, I was like, there's a good chance that I'm just not going to send this back to you. Like, even if you want it back, you're not getting it. He goes, Mike, if you like it that much, keep it. This is the Artisan Mastiff, and this is an incredible showing of what Artisan could do. I know people don't like the logos. I know that people, like, kind of bag on Artisan. I'm going to tell you right now, I would put this knife, I'm not going to lie to you, I do know that, like, I would put this knife against any knife in this case for quality, for execution, for comfort, for action. I would put it against any knife in this case. There are some $1,000 knives in this case. There are some $600 and $800 knives in this case. This is every bit as good as those. Action on it, the way it feels in hand, comfort level. It is nuts how good this knife is. And I just can't see how it didn't sell. I mean, I know people don't like the pivots. I know they don't like the action. They say it looks like things that it really doesn't. But, you know, you can't argue how well this knife is done. This spends a lot of time in my pocket. Only when I'm wearing jeans. Only when I'm wearing jeans. You can't wear this. You can't carry this in a pair of shorts or track pants. It's too heavy. It is it's a beast, but it's great, well executed. And when somebody is like, all Artisan knives, they're crap, I hand them this. And I tell them, I'm like, really? Really? Play with that for a second. Like, just close your eyes and mess with that. Like, just forget, like, all the things that trigger you, like the logos and the pivot and things like that. Just ignore all that and just feel the knife for what it is. And then just look at it. Look at the lines. That is a very, very good knife. I think that this is, I have to say, I think this is my favorite Artisan knife that they make. Like, there's other knives out there I really like from Artisan, including my design. I love my design, but we'll talk about a folder. This would have to be, I'd say this is the one out of all their knives that I like. And even look, enclosed, I'm spending a little bit more time on this one because I really think that this knife was undersold and under received. I don't know how, but this is a incredibly good knife. Even like your lanyard hole is in that backspacer with the clean lines, just super clean, super well done. The Artisan Cutlery Mastiff.